The Euphrates is one of the most significant and longest rivers, which is 1,740 miles (2,800 kilometers) in length and flows through Western Asia. It is one of the two major rivers that make up the Tigris-Euphrates river system. Iraq, Syria, and Turkey are the river's three riparian nations, and the 5 nations that make up its basin have a combined estimated population of 23 million people. There are still some traces of the original flora in the Euphrates basin, even though centuries of human habitation and activity have severely ruined the landscape. A substantial chunk of the Euphrates River has dried up, according to images collected along its banks. The banks of the Euphrates River are losing agricultural land. Most importantly, it's becoming more difficult to get access to drinking water. Health-related repercussions are severe. The Autonomous Administration of North and East Syria claims that millions of Syrians who live close to the Euphrates River would be at risk of a humanitarian disaster as a result of the Turkish government's water reduction program. Syria's Dams Administration is asking the international community and human rights organizations to put an end to the Turkish state's aggressive acts. So now the issue is, what kind of disastrous consequences would the river drying up have on the local population? The Euphrates is becoming drier. The river is much smaller now than it was a few years ago, choked by the water policies of Iraq's neighbors, Turkey and Syria, a 2-year drought, and years of abuse by Iraq and its farmers. It may soon be half of what it is currently, according to some officials. How can a river that might have carried everything dry in a few years? The Euphrates River's decline has destroyed farmland along its banks, rendered fishermen destitute, and depleted riverbank villages as farmers leave for the city in search of employment. The Book of Revelation predicted that the river's drying up would be a harbinger of the end times. The fields of rice and wheat beside the river have turned to scorched earth. Fishing boats are parked on dry land, and canals have been reduced to little streams. Pumps that are intended to supply water treatment facilities hang uselessly over muddy puddles. In Iraq, there is a severe drought. The rain-fed north's wheat and barley plantings are down by around 95% from average, and the east's city and date palm groves are dry. The reservoirs have been dry for the past 2 years due to much below average rainfall, and American authorities expect that this year's wheat and barley production will be a little over half of what it was 2 years ago. It is a problem that directly threatens the foundations of Iraq's identity, including its past as the world's greatest exporter of dates, the source of barley for German beer, and the nation that takes patriotic pleasure in its pricey Anbar rice. Iraq is more than just the area between two rivers. The Euphrates River drought has received strong support from the religious community. The Euphrates being dry has varied causes and effects according to many religions. When the Bible predicts certain events, it doesn't specify whether they will occur as a result of nature or human politics or industry. Christians are keeping their eyes on the Euphrates River as the river is nearly dry there. There is a Bible verse linked to the Euphrates regarding the 4 fallen angels once it's dried up. The fact that the river, which is said to have irrigated the biblical Garden of Eden, is gradually drying up further adds to the devastation. The Bible predicted that the Euphrates River would entirely dry up, and then something exceedingly awful would occur more than 2,000 years ago. The Bible says, "And then the 6th angel will pour out his bowl from the great river Euphrates, and its water will be dried up, so that the kings of the east might be prepared up." Revelation 16:12. Therefore, it states that the armies of the king of the east will be advancing when this natural barrier, the Euphrates, has dried up. Which nation from the east do you anticipate it will be? And which nation has the manpower to march their armies? You may probably guess. The Bible says the number of the armies of horsemen was 200 million. Revelation 9:16. Numerous significant biblical events took place in the region where the Euphrates River is located. The Bible also predicts that the army of 200 million will start to march from the east when the Euphrates water runs dry. The catch, though, is that there weren't even 200 million people on the planet at that time. The 4 angels that are imprisoned in the Euphrates River must be freed, according to the Bible. The 4 angels who have been preparing for the minutes, hours, days, months, and years are ready to destroy 1/3 of humanity. There are undoubtedly a lot of spiritual secrets in this Euphrates River. These 4 angels who have been imprisoned for hundreds of years would not be of many benefits to humanity if this river dried up. How come this sounds so awful? Because, according to the Bible, when these angels are released, they will command a vast eastern army that will quickly wipe out 1/3 of humanity. They will be granted the ability to destroy about 4 billion people overnight. According to several hadiths attributed to the Prophet Muhammad in Islam, the Euphrates will dry up and disclose undiscovered wealth that would spark conflict and war. The gold mountain treasure will soon be revealed by the Euphrates River. Anyone there should not steal anything from him at such a time. According to a hadith from Sahih Muslim, Sahih Bukhari, the Prophet Muhammad said, "The hour won't arrive until the Euphrates River has dried up, revealing the gold mountain for which people will struggle. Every guy will remark, perhaps I may be the only one to survive, while 99 out of 100 of them will perish in the conflict." So from the hadith, a question comes to mind why Prophet Muhammad was forbidden not to go for the mountain of gold that will appear in the Euphrates River. It is prohibited to remove from it since doing so would generate trouble and lead to conflict. The wisdom underlying the rule against taking from it is that it will happen at a time when it is either not needed at all or very little needed. It may refer to a time when the Euphrates water will be extremely precious, like gold metaphorically. The money that will be made from the Euphrates dams may be denoted by the term gold. In addition, significant gold and petroleum deposits that may be discovered underneath when the Euphrates water is drained may be highlighted. Such priceless materials may also be discovered during soil collapse. Without a doubt, that part of the Islamic world has a potential threat like dynamite. They are happenings that will happen in the future rather than things that have already happened. The majority of researchers have been trying to explain the identity of the Eastern kings. Because of its powerful military and economic dominance, the majority of people think China will be the winner. Do you believe that Muslim and non-Muslim states from the East, which will include Arab countries, would collaborate? China, Pakistan, or Afghanistan perhaps? The horrific prophecies found in the holy books and Revelation have begun to come to pass. I'm not sure if it is a good or terrible thing to be alive to witness these happenings, since there was a time when people wouldn't have believed such a thing could happen. Please share any additional prophecies you have heard of that have recently come true in the comments section.